Family Guy takes another swipe at Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, and a very happy birthday to Prince George. Hi, welcome to Heirs and Spares. I'm Kinsey Schofield. This is the show where we dissect some of our favorite royal couples, Prince William, Catherine, the Princess of Wales, and well, then there's the other one, Harry and Meghan. Today, I am joined by my co-host, royal author, Hugo Vickers. Hugo, what a pleasure it is to have you co-hosting Heirs and Spares with me. It's finally here. The time has finally come. I'm so glad to have you.
It's very exciting. Thank you for having me along.
Well, you are one of my favorite authors and experts, so there's no one else I wanted to discuss this story with. I find this fascinating. The idea that Prince William and Catherine, the Princess of Wales, could break this 30-year-old royal rule for Prince George. The idea that the royal family can't travel together, and that once they reach a certain age, which according to this article, and Graham Laurie, who used to fly the Prince and Princess of Wales when it was Prince Charles and Princess Diana, he says that once Prince William hit the age of 12, he started flying separately. And the reports are suggesting that William and Catherine have talked to their team, and they don't see the value in that. They want to shake things up. What are your sources saying? Are you hearing something familiar? And if not, what's your reaction to that?
Well, my reaction is they need to be very careful, and it has been a kind of a rule for ages. I mean, I think when the Queen and Prince Philip went to Australia, Prince Charles travelled separately all those years ago. And of course, the reason is that, you know, you don't want, if anything can go wrong, and it can go wrong with a plane, that you don't want to lose the entire family. And in this case, of course, it's even more of a worry because guess who's next in line?
No! The spare.
Yes, so I think probably it won't happen. I think they have to be careful. I know that technology is so much better now, and that there's probably, you could say there's more danger crossing a street than flying in an aeroplane. But even so, I think it's a pretty good rule. It was put in for a good reason.
So this source says that perhaps they might just ask the king for his permission for certain occasions, whether or not it's okay. Is that how it works, where Prince William would have to call up his father and say, do you mind?
Yes, I think that is how it works. And of course, the thing is that, of course, the other problem is that now they're also conscious about expenditure, that they very often fly on commercial flights. You know, they could even go on like almost EasyJet or something. And therefore, you know, without wishing to be disparaging, there's even more danger, you could say, than obviously if you're flying in one of the royal planes, the BA-146 or something like that. So it's a problem. I think they need to fly separately, to be honest.
Well, I think your opinion is very valued here, so I understand exactly what you're saying. Do you remember the reports? Maybe it was last year or the year before. No. Oh my gosh, I can't believe how long the Queen has been gone. But do you remember the reports that Queen Elizabeth was nervous about Prince William flying the family? She wanted him to take a step back and perhaps, can you expand on that a little bit?
He was doing, you know, rescuing things. And of course, helicopters are even more dangerous than planes, because if something goes wrong with a helicopter, you've absolutely had it. I mean, a plane can very often land, but if the blades come off or something, the helicopter just comes down. So that's very dangerous. And that's always been the problem for the heir to the throne, that he has been sort of more protected than others. I mean, why, like Prince Andrew was able to go to the Falklands and Prince Charles would not have been allowed to do that because it would have been too dangerous. And too dangerous for two reasons. One, that, you know, something could accidentally happen. He could just be picked off by mistake. Or secondly, he could be taken hostage, in which case he's a very valuable property. And that causes more trouble than it's worth. That's always been the problem for the royal family. They long to serve like everybody else, but sometimes it's counterproductive. It happened to the Duke of Windsor, happened to the present Duke of Kent. You know, they're not allowed to be too close to the front line.
And when stories like this come out, how much of you wonders if it's a calculated campaign for us to see how much Prince William and Catherine just love their family and want to be around their family? I mean, do you think that this is a legitimate story that William and Catherine are saying, no, we don't want to fly separately? Or do you think sometimes we hear about things like this because they've done an excellent job of branding Catherine and William as family first, which I admire.
Yes,
I admire.
so do I.
It's not a critique.
Yeah. No, I mean, I personally, am rather sceptical about all these stories, and I wonder whether somebody's just sitting down thinking, well, here's a good story and I can get that into the paper. Of course, they're very good parents. They're very hands-on, and I know Prince William has sometimes been criticised for not doing enough royal duties. There is plenty of time for him to do royal duties later. He's in a very difficult situation. His heir to the throne, the Prince of Wales, never knows when he's going to become king. If his father's ill, it becomes more pressing. His wife has been unwell as well. He's got a very young family. I know that they spend a lot of time going to school matches, being hands-on parents, and I'm all for it. And I think that also will pay dividends later in the way the children are brought up, because whenever we see the children, I mean, they're absolutely great, aren't they?
Oh, they are so precious, so well behaved, but just a side of cheeky. A side of cheeky that we can enjoy. I love Prince Louis. I mean, I say this every time. My services, free. Let me hang out with Prince Louis. I will babysit forever. Speaking of Prince George's birthday, around this time every year, this story starts to circulate about how Prince William and Catherine are going to make a different decision regarding his schooling. They're going to sway a bit from the upbringing Prince William had, King Charles had. Do you have an opinion there? Is this modernizing the monarchy? Is this more of that family first brand?
I think they will be doing what most parents do, and that is looking at a lot of schools, because schools change according to the headmaster. If you get a good headmaster, you get a good school. They'd be lucky to go to any of those schools these days, frankly. I'm not so sure they would have been lucky to do it 100 years ago, but they certainly would these days. They are very, very good, and they're like country clubs. The policy, and when I was at school, if you sneaked on somebody for bullying, you would have been a pariah for the rest of your life. Now, it is encouraged that people report bullying. So you can't change human behaviour, but you can change what's acceptable in human behaviour. So what I'm thinking they will be doing is going to look at the facilities of the different schools, at the accessibility, judging the headmaster and seeing what his concepts are, what he wants for them, and trying to find the best possible school for many reasons. At the moment, all three of them are together, and I think that's great, because I think that's very nice. I mean, I remember one headmaster saying he loves it when siblings are together, because they can talk about things, they can, kind of pool their information. Of course, Eton, which is where I was lucky to go to, is a very, very good school. It's always changing, it's always developing. I think, Prince George would be a natural for Eton, but Catherine went to Marlborough. That's another good school. She may well wish him to go there, and that, of course, would take girls, which I think Eton still doesn't quite. They might take Princess Charlotte. You never know.
Right.
They can break the rules for the royal children. They want to just give them the best education possible.
That's right. If I were Prince George, I would want to go to school with the girls. What if you could delay your next 2 mortgage payments? That's right. Imagine putting those 2 payments in your pocket and finally getting a little breathing room. It's possible when you call American Financing today. If you're feeling stretched by everyday expenses, groceries, gas, bills piling up, you're not alone. Most Americans are putting these expenses on credit cards, and there doesn't seem to be a way out. American Financing can show you how to use your home's equity to pay off that debt. You need to call American Financing today before you get to a point where you can't make those payments. Their salary-based mortgage consultants are helping homeowners just like you restructure their loans and consolidate debt, all without upfront fees. And their customers are saving an average of $800 a month. That's like a $10,000 raise. It's fast, it's simple, and it could save your budget this summer. Call before it's too late. 866-887-1201. That's 866-887-1201, or visit americanfinancing.net/unfiltered. Now, I want to read a lot of this to you because this was a very intense piece from the Times over the weekend. King Charles and the Highgrove gardeners' exodus is what we're hearing about. So this is related to Prince Will. I stretched here. I tried to make it related to Prince William as much as I could so it would fit in the category. But we learned that in July of 2021, then Prince Charles secured long-term access to Highgrove by signing a 20-year lease through a company he created, Highgrove Nominees Limited. Now, he's just very passionate about these gardens. This is...
Oh, he loves Highgrove.
Yeah,
yes.
Some say that this is his legacy. These gardens are a part of him, an extension of him. One of my favorite Charles fun facts is that he talks to his plants, and I think it's working if you take a look at those gorgeous gardens. But explain to me why Prince William has become his landlord and how he's maneuvered this so that he can ensure that Highgrove belongs to him or stays in his possession
yes,
for the next 20 years.
I think it's because the Duchy of Cornwall bought Highgrove for Prince Charles, and of course, the moment that he became king, Prince William became Duke of Cornwall and therefore in charge of the Duchy of Cornwall. In fact, of course, that means that Prince William has suddenly became incredibly rich after the Queen died, and the King, who relies on private money from the Duchy of Lancaster, got rather less, but no doubt he put a certain amount aside. But Highgrove, yes, he's always absolutely loved that place, and it's developed over many years. I've seen it several times over the years, and it's a sort of, in some ways, it's a kind of a crazy garden because, you know, he's got little statues, heads of the people he admires, like the Duchess of Devonshire, Lawrence Vanderpost, those sort of people. A lot of the things were pink, which reminded him of Royal Lodge. I remember thinking that a number of the seats were for one man. You know, there were few, when you first went there were benches which had been given to the Prince and Princess of Wales, but they seem to have been changed. There are lots of sort of extraordinary sort of Turkish pots and things that are in the garden. I mean, it's a fascinating garden, and it's very much his dream, so I can well understand why he wants to hang on to it, and I suspect he would think of that as his ultimate sanctuary, really.
That's a very good way to put it. Just your reaction to the story, because it was negative about how out of 12 gardeners, he's lost 11 since 2022. He said to one worker, or he said about one worker, "Do not put me in front of this man again." This was an individual who was on a probation period. They were trying to determine whether or not they were going to keep him on, and he didn't know facts about a specific flower. I think you always want to surround yourself with people that are smarter than you, especially if you are cultivating this beautiful space that we now know they're selling an incredible amount of tickets. There's the amount of traffic that goes through this. He was called a diva about the gardening situation. I'd love your reaction to that.
Well, I think probably the problem is that, you know, now he's got access to Windsor, Sandringham, Balmoral, Birkhall, all these different houses. It seems to me that he's in perpetual orbit, and therefore he probably isn't able to go to Highgrove quite as much as he used to, or as much as he would want to. And if you don't go as much as before, then things do get out of hand. You know, there's a sort of a lack of control. And so we know that he has a habit of being petulant at certain times, because we've seen how he responds to ill working pens in public. And so if he arrives there and finds that things haven't been done as he had hoped, you know, I can imagine that it's quite likely he has something of a tantrum. And that doesn't go down very well. So I suspect it's probably, as much as anything else, a lack of overall control and drive, and, you know, that they don't know what he's thinking, they don't know what he wants, and therefore they don't get it right. And so he goes down there and he's unhappy with what he finds, and now they're all unhappy too. I think that's just a natural thing that happens, but it's a pity. And I mean, what's interesting, of course, is why the Sunday Times should suddenly decide to go for him on this matter, when, you know, he is still having cancer treatment. He's still got many other things to worry about on his plate, and it
I'm
seems
glad
to
you
me
said that.
a little bit unfair, really.
I'm glad you said that. But what was news to me was that Prince William was his landlord, which is exciting, and that falls under the heirs category to justify this conversation yet again. All right, now you don't strike me as a Family Guy cartoon type of fan, but they've gone after Prince Harry and Meghan Markle yet again. And this one was interesting. The episode's about time travel, and Stewie says to Brian that he wants to, if they're going to time travel, they have to ensure that they don't change the course of history. And Brian says, you know, you say that, but history pretty much sucks. They mention Hitler, the Crusades, before Stewie chimes in, Prince Harry marrying Meghan Markle. And then it's a jump cut to Prince Harry, who yells again before turning towards the camera with his hands on his hips and says, oh, like all your wives are so much better. You've done done a lot of reporting and book writing, I should say, on Hollywood icons. Meghan Markle certainly thinks of herself as a Hollywood icon. How does this hurt the image, the brand, to really become a punchline in Los Angeles?
Well, I don't know. I seem to think that she just likes any form of publicity, as far as I can see. And they always say all publicity is good publicity. I imagine that it could be irritating, but she'll probably turn it round in some way. We just hear every single thing she does. If she sends a bottle of rosé to somebody, just everything is discussed. You know, the meeting with the various advisors the other day. You know, does this mean there's going to be some sort of reconciliation? It just goes on, and I just wonder when it's going to stop. Ugh. Because I think at some point people are going to get bored with Meghan Markle.
You're not already?
Well, I am in many ways, yes. But I'm still rather intrigued by the fascination that other people have for her.
Right. And
the fact that it keeps on going. And of course, the full drama hasn't yet played out, which is why. I mean, because they're still together, aren't they?
Well, yes, what's to come.
Yeah.
But there is a difference, and I even felt this in your book about Vivian Leigh. There's a difference between famous and infamous. You know,
yes.
there is, initially we were told that this With Love Meghan show was going to be this incredible product that was going to boost her into on a whole other level. The year of the Markle Sparkle is what Page 6 called 2025, and this show was supposed to be the core of it, along with a podcast, affiliate links on Instagram, As Ever products, Rosé. But we learned, thanks to Deadline, which is one of Hollywood's elite,
yes.
Publications, that Meghan didn't even crack the top 300 with Love Meghan. That's got to be devastating. I mean, not as devastating as Polo, which landed at 3,436 on the list. Just about 500,000 people watched Polo, which
right.
is, I mean, we could sneeze in a random moment and end up on a blooper reel that gets more views than that.
Or we could go to a Coldplay concert.
Oh, we could go to a Coldplay. I mean, you and I, that would make some headlines. That we could recreate that here in a second. Yeah. But what do you think? Do you think that not necessarily landing on the list, because I think she can ignore certain things. She's already got a season 2 on the way. But the press surrounding this flop, that probably gets under her skin. Do you imagine?
I imagine what's most worrying is what the effect that the press has on the people who are going to employ her again in the future. When they look at the spreadsheets and the marketing and they work it all out. The reason that there's a second series is because they'd already filmed it.
Yes.
So that's fair enough. They've got to get something back. It's already there. Why not? Be interesting to see whether they do a third season. Maybe they will. I don't know. But it does seem to me, as an outside observer, that she just does one thing after another and it goes wrong, and then she does a different thing and then another different thing, and just wonder, what else she's going to come up with, because she's going to need a lot of ingenuity to keep going with new things the whole time.
It is, to me, it's like the only thing consistent is that they're inconsistent,
yes. Yes.
You're right. I mean, if she were to lose the Netflix deal, or if she were to lose the show, I feel like it's a no-brainer that she should make the exact same show. I'm sure Netflix would give her the rights to the name for YouTube.
Yes.
And try to take it and do it somewhere else, because the way that she's so frazzled and moves in all these different directions, if I were a potential investor, I'd go, what is the end game? What do you do? What is your core mission? What are your values? It just seems like she's throwing darts at a wall.
Absolutely. And the only thing which I don't know is whether behind the scenes, her marketing, whether she is actually making a lot of money on the side, on the different brands. I don't know. Maybe she is. Do you know about that? Whether she would be, because she has obviously got a lot of followers, which is important these days.
I think that there was an initial blitz when it first launched, but it's gone stale.
Yeah.
If she wants to continue with that pursuit, the influencer game, then every time she posts a picture in an outfit, or every time she's seen in public in an outfit, she needs to immediately add something similar to her Shop My account.
Right.
But that's not happening, so there aren't regular
so that's
updates.
not working either.
So
yeah.
I think that it could be, there could be a return on investment there, and by investment I mean the intern or whatever that's uploading and updating that website, because you've got to pay for your help. If she were to be more consistent with the Shop My account, but she'll do the Netflix series, everybody wants the sweater she's wearing while hovering over a bowl of spaghetti, a bowl of tomato sauce, the cream-colored sweater. Well, that's so realistic.
It's incredibly practical, isn't it?
Yes. So there was a little mini blitz there. But the only way she can maintain the success with her links, her affiliate links, is by updating that website every time she posts herself wearing something, which is hard when a lot of the posts are back of the head, not just of the kids, but of her too.
Yes. And the other thing that occurs to me is that there are a lot of people who are very popular, like Gwyneth Paltrow seems to be a very, very nice Hollywood star. She's fairly tarnished, isn't she, by the things she said and the kind of the accusations that she's thrown out at the world. I mean, I don't think we think she's a very nice person. So that surely is also a part of it, that we don't really want to buy things from somebody like her.
Well, that's always what I've said. I feel like had she launched this brand and this pursuit of joy in 2020 or 2021 or 2022, first of all of the hacks, all of these little lifestyle things, we would have eaten up if we were stuck in our homes during COVID.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? Like, okay, well, we're stuck at home, so let's make some frozen ice. I mean, we would have but the fact that she went after the British royal family initially, first impressions matter, and that was one of the first times she opened her mouth for a lot of us, and we spent a significant amount of time with her. And she came off bitter and resentful and full of vengeance. And I know she was trying to come off as Diana in the Panorama interview. Like authoritative, and I'm going to defend myself.
The black coal makeup.
Oh my gosh, the panda eyes, exactly. But it was too much of a contrast. The Oprah Winfrey interview to this pursuit of joy. And it wasn't just Oprah, it was a Netflix series, a couple of interviews where she still seems kind of bitter about what's happened. I didn't sign an NDA. And then all of a sudden she's happy. And it's hard for us to digest that transition. So it was a sharp transition. Yes,
I think so. But it'd be interesting to, luckily we will never hear what her first husband says about it all, because he's a very discreet man and has disappeared quietly into the background. But I don't think he'd be very surprised by anything she came up with. That's my view. I mean, and she is an actress, so she's always playing a part. But
does it surprise you at all that Suits continues to dominate on Netflix? Suits dominates like more so than their original series. Does that surprise you at all to know that?
Well, I mean, I enjoyed. I watched Suits because I wanted to get to know her, and then she played a rather a nice character in that, and she was rather good, I thought, in Suits. But so they're still doing another series, and that's still just as popular.
Just cancelled.
Oh, just cancelled. Okay.
And they say that the original production crew are angry with her for not making an appearance because they felt like that could have saved season 1 of Suits LA. I mean, she's in LA, Suits LA. It doesn't, I mean, why not just pop in even if you're just a receptionist as a joke or something? I don't understand why.
That be good? Yes, exactly.
It's beneath her now. But I do wonder, do you think that Netflix holds on to her because they're anticipating a breakdown of the marriage and they want first dibs, or because they see the value in her based on her Suits history or her history as an actress? Because the Heart of Invictus, Pearl canceled, the Polo series, Live to Lead, nothing nothing really hit the way that the Harry and Meghan docuseries hit.
Well, I don't know what sort of contract she's got with them, and I imagine that the lawyers are hard at work, but I would think it would be the former rather than the latter. But I don't know if they will hold on to her. I mean, that'll be the interesting thing. I mean, I do think they would be extremely worried because they have a very, very expensive lifestyle. I mean, all that security in the Montecito house, and whenever you see him arriving at an airport, there's a couple of Range Rovers and lots of people running around. This all costs money.
Right.
And it's got to keep turning on the whole time.
The only reason why I think Netflix will continue with the relationship is because they're allegedly big investors in as ever. So there's a side commitment there, and it would look silly. It would look like they didn't believe in this entity that they have invested in if they were to cut her off from the production side.
Yes.
And whatever happened to Meet Me at the Lake? We're just over here waiting for Meet Me at the Lake. They bought the rights to that book about the couple in Toronto. It just feels like they announce things so prematurely.
Yes.
And they never come to fruition.
Yeah, exactly.
Do they need to call us? Do they need to? Are they looking for better consultants?
I don't know what they need to do, to be quite honest. It must be. I mean, they're stuck, aren't they? They're stuck in this kind of rut of celebrity, and which means you have to reinvent yourself the whole time. You need to come up with new ideas. I mean, you have to keep yourself in front of the press, which they're very good at. It seems to be in the press. But I have a horrible feeling, knowing the way of the media, that the media will suddenly get bored. You know, I mean, the media did occasionally chase Greta Garbo around New York when she was walking around, but because she was wearing dark glasses and her coat turned up.
They gave up.
Well, no, but they knew exactly who she was. If she'd wanted to be completely anonymous, she could have just worn something different.
Well, that's a very good point. Well, agree with us, disagree with us, let us know in the comments below. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share this video with a friend, and follow Hugo on social media because 4,000 people have liked his Prince William picture this week. So you're in for a treat. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. I'm Kinsey Schofield.